Let's get started. Graph y equals 1/4 plus 2. Look, y is all by itself. Hooray! Which means the number in front of x is my slope. So my slope is 1/4. And my y-intercept is the number floating around all by itself. So it's 2. The way I graph is I put a dot where my y-intercept will be. So I go to my graph, I go to the y-axis, I put a dot right there on 2, right there, put a nice big dot right there. And then I use my slope to make more dots. So my slope is 1/4, which is a positive number, and it goes that way up and to the right. Wow. It goes up and to the right. Let's try it again. Okay, so this is what I do. I go to my green dot and I go up 1 and I go right 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a dot. Up 1, over 1, 2, 3. Ran out of room. So go back to your green dot and go down 1. Go left 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a dot. Go down 1, go left 1, 2, 3. Ran out of room. Draw a line. And there's my graph. Now our primary focus today is graphing still, and that's going to be our primary focus tomorrow. But what if I don't give you y equals? And we did a few problems, but not a lot of problems. And I feel like I want to practice just a teensy bit more. So what we're going to talk about today is a little something called standard form. And standard form is not the same as slope-intercept form. This is what standard form looks like. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Standard form is when you have x and y on the left and it equals some number on the right. So what if I'm asked to graph when things are looking crazy? I mean, it's supposed to look like this. Not this. That's bad. That's good. Bad. Good. Bad. Good. Bad. Good. This is slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. We can find the slope and the y-intercept if y is all by itself. If y is all by itself, then the number in front of x is the slope and the number floating around is the y-intercept. Well, y is all by itself here. But there's no x, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in a blank. Since there's no x, there's technically 0x. And then I have a positive 4. So when y is all by itself, the number in front of x is the slope, so my slope is 0. And the number floating around is 4, the y-intercept. Easy when y is all by itself. Look, when y is all by itself, the number in front of x is my slope. So y is all by itself, which means my slope is 2 or 2/1, I'll write. And the y-intercept is the number floating around all by itself, positive 5. When y is all by itself, but it's not all by itself. I have a 7x floating around. How do I get rid of the 7x that's floating around? Subtract 7x. Subtract 7x. Cross u out. Do negative 7x. My gosh, my computer or my phone is making so much noise. Or do the negative 7x and the 5 combine? No, because negative 7x has an x and 5 doesn't. Always write out the part that contains the x first. So negative 7x plus 5. Is y all by itself now? So that means the number in front of x is my slope, which is negative 7 or negative 7/1. And my y-intercept is just a positive 5. Excelente. That means excellent. Let's do 3 more and then we'll call it a day for these types of problems. Find the slope in the y-intercept. Again, I need it in the form y equals mx plus b. When y is all by itself, the number in front of x is the slope and the number floating around is the y-intercept. So, is y all by itself? No. What's in the way? I have a negative 2x floating around. So let's get rid of that. Minus 2x cross u out. Drop down the y. Do 4 and negative 2x combine? No. What should I write out first? The 4 or the negative 2x? The negative 2x, of course. Negative 2x, positive 4. Is y all by itself now? So the number in front of my x is the slope. So negative 2 or negative 2 over 1. And my y-intercept is the number floating around. Look at 5. Can I look at that and immediately determine what my slope and y-intercept is? No, no, no way. Is y all by itself? No. I have a 3x floating around on the left side, and I have a 5 attached. So I have to do 2 things. The first thing I'm always going to do is subtract out or get rid of the thing that's floating around, and in this case, you subtract it out. So let's cross that out. On the left side, the 5y drops down. The equal sign drops down. Does negative 5 and negative 3x combine? No, because one has an x and the other one doesn't. Always write out the guy with the x first. So negative 3x minus 5. Here. Great. Is y all by itself now? No. I have a 5 multiplied to y. The way we get rid of something that's multiplied to y is we divide everything by that number. The way we get rid of something that's multiplied is we divide everything by that number. Everything. Y now equals negative 3 over 5. What's negative 3 over 5? Does that simplify? No. So it's just negative 3 over 5. X comes along for the ride. How about negative 5 over 5? Negative 5 divided by 5? Negative 1. Is y all by itself now? Sure is, which means the number in front of x is my slope. So my slope is negative 3 over 5. And my y-intercept is the number that's floating around all by itself, which is negative 1. I was supposed to circle negative 1 there, but I didn't. Oopsie daisies. Oopsie daisies. Look at problem 6. Is y all by itself? Again, no, and again, not even close. So I have a 6x in the way, and I have a 5 that's being multiplied to y. Always get rid of the guy that's just floating around first. The opposite of 6x is minus 6x, so let's minus 6x from both sides, cross you out. On the left side, I have 5y. On the right side, I have a 20 and a negative 6x. Do they combine? No. Why? Because one has an x and the other one doesn't. So I'm always going to write out the guy with the x first. So that's going to be negative 6x, negative 6x positive 20. Is y all by itself now? No. So let's get rid of that 5 by dividing 5 from everything. Very, very, very similar to what we did in the last problem. Divide 5 from everything. Divide 5 from everything. Cross u out. Y equals Does negative 6 over 5 simplify and turn into anything? Nope. So it's just negative 6 over 5. X comes along for the ride. Does 20 over 5 simplify? Sure does. 4. Is y all by itself now? Sure is, which means the number in front of x is my slope, so my slope is negative 6 over 5. And the number that's floating around is my y-intercept, so 4 is my y-intercept. Okay? Okay, so how do we graph an equation in standard form? Well, the exact same way we would graph an equation in regular form. It's just in this case, we have to turn it into regular form first. So step number 1 is put the equation in slope-intercept form, identify the slope and y-intercept, put a point on the y-axis for the y-intercept, use the slope to make more points, and connect the dots. Let's watch a quick video to review that process, at least the process of just taking an equation in slope-intercept form and graphing that.
All right, graphing linear equations. We are to graph that equation there. Luckily, this guy right here is in slope-intercept form. Remember, if y is all by itself, the number in front of x is our slope. The number floating around is our y-intercept. So the number floating around negative 5 is where we begin. We put a dot right there at negative 5 on the y-axis. Since that's a negative slope and it's rise over run, we go up 1, left 3, negative slope, up 1, left 3. If we run out of room, we can go down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3. And I like to make as many dots as I can. Take a ruler, draw yourself a line, bang, bang. That, ladies and gentlemen, is our answer.
So long story short, if it's in y equals mx plus b form, then we could just identify the slope and the y-intercept and go on our merry way. But we can't right now because y is not all by itself. So we look at this problem and we ask ourselves, is y all by itself? No. What's in the way? Well, I have this 4x just floating around. So let's get rid of it. Minus 4x, and cross u out. What this leaves me with is y equals, I have a 0 and I have a negative 4x. Do they combine? Well, they kind of do, but I'm just going to write it out like this. Negative 4x plus 0. The reason why I'm going to write it out like that is it helps me understand that 0 is my y-intercept. Do I have to write it out that way to understand that? No, but now I can see that the number floating around all by itself is 0, and that's my y-intercept. Just as important, I have a slope of negative 4, which I'm going to call negative 4 over 1. So when I graph equations, I'm going to make sure that if I have a whole number like I do, I'm going to make sure that my slope is going to be put over 1 so I can view it from a rise over run perspective. So let's start out by putting our y-intercept on the graph where put the y-intercept, or put a dot there where the graph should be. So let me see. 0, put a dot. Uh-oh, I wanted that to be blue, but it's all right. My slope is negative 4 over 1, which means I go up and to the left. So let me quick draw that out. Up and to the left. So it looks like this. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1, put a dot. Or I can go down 1, 2, 3, 4, go right, put a dot. That's as much as I can do. I mean, if I tried to go up left 1 again, I'd run out of room. If I tried to go down for right 1, that wouldn't work. So I'm just going to draw my line. Someone's got to draw the line around here, and that someone's going to be me. Now, that looks pretty bad. So I thought that counts, though. Let's do it again. again. Let's do it again. Is y all by itself? No. I have an x just floating around over here all by itself. Let's get rid of it. Subtract x from both sides, cross u out. Well, let's drop down the y. Do the negative x and the negative 3 combine? No, because one's an x and the other one's just a number. So to keep it in slope-intercept form, I'm going to write out negative x minus 3. And if you're wondering, wow, you put a lot of space in between that negative and that x. I did it on purpose because if there's no number in front of x, it's an invisible 1. If there's no number in front of x, it's an invisible 1, not 0. 0 would be if there's no x. But right now I have just one x. Like in real life. Just kidding. Like 2, maybe 3. 100. Anyway. My slope is the number that's living in front of x. I'm going to call that negative 1 over 1. Why did I put it over 1? Because it's not a fraction. So turn any number into a fraction, put it over 1. My y-intercept is the number floating around all by itself, which isn't 3. It's negative 3. So my y-intercept is the first thing that I graph. I go to my y-axis. I go down to the negative 3, and I put a dot there on the negative 3. Then I go to my slope, and I figure out, all right, well, my slope is negative again, which means up and to the left or down and to the right. My rise over run is 1 over 1. So I go up 1 over 1, put a dot. 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 Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, put a dot. I ran out of room. So I can go back to my original dot and go down 1, right 1, put a dot. Remember, up and to the left is the same as down and to the right. I was using my mouse to make these dots, and that's what happens. Without a dot, without a down. Down to the right, down to the right, down to the right. Whole lot of dots. Now I can draw a straight line. Oh, wow. It would be nice if I could actually hit those points, but there you have it. There you have it. Let's do it again. This is where they get a little bit worse. Is y all by itself? No. Not only do I have a 7x just floating around, I have a 2 multiplied to y. So I have to get rid of 7x and 2. What do I do first? Get rid of the 7x first because it's the number that's floating around, or it's the term that's floating around. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 7x. Minus 7x, cross u out. Drop down the 2y. On the right side, I have 10, and I have negative 7x. Do they combine? No, because the 7 has an x and the 10 doesn't. Remember, you're writing it out in this form, negative 7x minus 10. Always keep the thing with the x first. Is y all by itself now? No. I have 2 being multiplied to y, so let's divide everything by 2. Divide everything by 2. Divide everything by 2. So I have y equals. Does negative 7 over 2 simplify? Nope. So I'm going to write out negative 7 over 2. X, that's supposed to say 2. X. Does negative 10 over 2 simplify? Yep, to negative 5. Is y all by itself now? Sure is, which means the number in front of x is my slope. So my slope is that ugly-looking negative 7 over 2. And my y-intercept is the number floating around all by itself, which is negative 5. Always start out by putting a dot on the y-intercept where the or putting a dot on the y-axis where the y-intercept would be. So the y-intercept is negative 5. So put a dot there. Put a dot there. my slope is -7/2. So it's another negative slope, which is up and to the left or down and to the right. I obviously can't go down 7, right, 2. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, left 1, 2, put a dot. And those are the only dots I should be able to make. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can only go up 5. I can't go up 7. But I have 2 dots, and 2 dots is all I need. So you just kind of draw the best line you can. Not half bad if I could say so myself. And there you have it. Another successful line. Another one. Let's just keep doing them, baby, until I just run out of time or run out of space or run out of whatever. Is y all by itself? No, it's not. I have a regular x just floating around. I have a -2 attached to y. So get rid of the regular x that's just floating around. So minus x. Cross that out. Drop down the -2y equals. Does the -x and the -6 combine? Nope. So I'm going to put -x minus 6. And if you're wondering again, well, you kind of left a little bit of space there in between the negative and the x. That's right, because I want to sneak a 1 in there. Why would I do that? Well, because my next step is to get rid of that -2. And the way we get rid of that -2 is dividing everything by -2. Divide everything by -2. Divide everything by -2 and cross u out. Y equals -1 divided by -2. Negative divided by negative is a positive, and 1/2 is a half. -6 divided by -2 is a positive, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Is y all by itself now? Sure is. So the number in front of x is my slope. So 1/2 is my slope. The number floating around all by itself is my y-intercept. So 3 is my y-intercept. Go to the y-axis. Put a dot where the y-intercept would be. Now use your slope to make more points. Finally, a positive slope, which means I go up and to the right. So I go to my red dot and I go up 1, right 2, put a dot. Up 1, right 2, put a dot. Up 1, right 2, put a dot. Up 1, right 2, ran out of room. Go to your red dot, go down left 2 and put a dot. Go down left 2 and you put a dot. Go down left 2 and you put a dot. Go down and I ran out of room. Okay. This might be my last one. Nope. 2 more. It's not a tumor. Tumor. Is y all by itself? No. -9x is in the way, and just a -9x. Nothing crazy floating in front of that y. So I have -9x minus 9x. Cross u out and bring down that y. Does the -9x and the 4 combine? No. So I'm going to write out -9x first, and I'm going to write out +4 because it is +4, +4. Is y all by itself now? Yeah, that was just a one-stepper. Nice. What's my slope? -9 or -9/1. What's my y-intercept? 4. So go to your y-axis. Put a dot at the 4. Negative slope is up and to the left. Well, obviously I can't go up 9, but I can go down and to the right. So I can go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I can go right 1, put a dot. Obviously I can't do it again. So I have 2 dots here, and 2 dots is good enough for me. It's a very steep slope. And the reason why it's a very steep slope is 9 is a much bigger number than like a half or something like that. The larger the digit on the slope, the steeper the slope is going to be, whether it's positive or negative. Last one. Is y all by itself? No. I have an x floating around in the way, and I have a 4 in front of my y. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I'm going to subtract x from both sides, cross u out, and drop down that 4y. Does the negative x and the negative 2 on the left combine? No. So I'm going to write out negative, put a little space in between x minus 12. And again, for the third time, why did I put that space in between? Because a 1 goes there. Is y all by itself? No. Divide everything by 4, divide everything by 4, and divide everything by 4. So I have y equals negative 1 over 4x. And negative 12 over 4 is just minus 3, because negative 12 divided by 4 is minus 3. Is y all by itself? Yep. So the number in front of x is my slope, negative 1 over 4. And the number floating around all by itself, negative 3, is my y-intercept. So let me go to my y-axis. There it is. Put a dot on negative 3. There you have it. And my slope is negative 1 over 4. So up 1, left 4, put a dot. Up 1, left 4, out of room. So go back to your original dot, down 1, right 4, put a dot. And I have 3 dots, and that's all I need. So I'm going to draw myself a line. Wow. Let's get rid of that line. Let's try that again. Start from down here where I can see better. Better. Use a very small sentence to explain how you would solve the equation in slope-intercept form. Subtract 6x, then divide everything by 2. Pretty small sentence. Okay? Okay, that's it. Bye.